afternoon and welcome to this afternoon session on Blab. And today I have the pleasure of talking to Paul Ince. And Paul is the joint CEO of Thryyve, which is, as he will tell us, a tool to discover, engage and thrive on social media. Good afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's good to see you. I got to give you the backstory to this. I run with Jon and Blabbing for Britain on a Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. And when you run a blab, it shows you who's watched. And I saw that you'd watched the blab, and then I followed up to your Thryyve website and was intrigued. So hence my invitation to be here today. So that's how it all came about, because you were in on the blab. Now, tell us, first of all, where does the name Thryyve come from?
Well, coming up with a name is one of the most difficult things about taking a product to market, aside from perhaps the actual coding and delivery of it. But of course, the name is something that is there to stick with you and something that you use to market. And we wanted something that was very positive in its tone. Okay. And when we thought about what is Thryyve all about, what is the product about that we're trying to create, we had several options. We did start by looking at words which described what it does, and you can come up with all sorts of weird and wonderful phrases, play on words and so on, but we kept coming back to this word thrive and what was the product chiefly trying to do. And what Thryyve is trying to do is actually help people succeed on social media by helping them find people that are close to their business or organization and therefore allowing their business to thrive. So that's how we came up with the word. Yep. One of the issues we had was with, domain names and trademarks and how do you spell it and all that kind of stuff. And we sort of came to the conclusion that in the spirit of things like Whistle and Fiverr and all the rest of it, it matters not how you actually spell it. So hence there's more than one Y. Yep. And our team that we worked with to help us create a brand came up with this idea of get more Ys as a play on words to the two Ys, meaning that you're using Thryyve to be smarter at social media. Right.
Okay. And the idea is to help customers find people they should be conversing with. Now, that means that there's an element of search involved. Now, what's the difference between Thryyve's search engine that you designed and the normal search? Where does it score?
Well, the problem with normal search, the native search on things like Twitter and Facebook, is that you're very limited actually in what you can do. Now, with Facebook, it's dead simple. You put in a keyword and, up pop some results and you have to decide which is the most relevant to you. With Twitter, you've got a basic search and an advanced search. And in the advanced search, to be fair to Twitter, there's a number of options there that you can use to select things like tone and location. But what you actually get with a native search is a whole set of data that's just this sort of data dump on your screen of things that match that search. And because of the millions and millions of tweets that is out there, it's quite difficult to sift through all that data and make sense of it. So what we've tried to do with Thryyve searching capabilities is to apply that intelligence. And we've developed an algorithm that will look at the core data from the match and then pull out of that the really targeted list of people that are going to match the search terms that you put in. And we do that across network as well. So you can search for the word blab, for example, in Thryyve, and it will pull out mentions in both Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, I did just that when I did my first search. I just searched for blab and it came back with the hits. Now, the thing is that when you're presenting the data to people, what you've actually done is to tabulate it so that you not only see the person you found through the search, but you see what the last tweet is. How important is that to you?
Yes. Well, it's all about giving the user the capability to make a decision. So unlike some tools out there that present you with things like new leads and new customers, perhaps, what we do is we give you the details of the person that's perhaps posted the tweet, but also we give you the tweet itself or the Facebook post. And we do that so you can see, okay, well, in what context are they talking about those terms that you're looking for? So we present the last tweet that matches, but also if there's more than one qualifying tweet that means that person really is someone that you should be talking to, perhaps because they talk about that subject quite a lot, we also allow you to expand the list of tweets that qualify, so you can see, how many times are they talking about it? What are they talking about? Are they talking about it in a positive, negative, or a neutral way? And therefore allow you to take the decision on, is that someone you really want to engage with? And if you do you want to reply to which tweet or retweet or even like that tweet?
Yeah. So there's sentiment analysis in there.
Yes, there's the sentiment analysis. We use machine learning capabilities to assess the content of each post and decide whether that is generally positive, negative, or neutral. Now, the thing with sentiment analysis is that it's not, always 100% accurate. So AI doesn't really understand sarcasm yet, but we're working with Loughborough University, which is actually where we're based, on a research project about sentiment analysis, about how that can become better and we can improve Thryyve, but also things like how do we use emoji and how do emojis contribute to things like sentiment?
Indeed, understood. And that's obviously helpful. The more you know about a person when they show up on the screen, then the easier it is to make this decision. Now, you've got a list of people, and this page to sort of 9 to 10 to a screen. What happens next? I'm thinking here in particular in terms of lists.
What we suggest after you've found people is you try and think about how you want to engage with them. So it depends on what you're looking to do. If you're looking to grow your audience, for example, one of the ways in which you can do that is to reply directly to the tweet, or it could be that you group a load of people together and communicate to them all at once. Now, when you are looking to group people together, perhaps they meet similar criteria. Perhaps they also maybe you find individuals that you want to just collect together from different types of searches. Then you can create lists of different types of people in a similar sort of way to what you might create a Twitter list. However, it's a static list. So if you think about it in terms of maybe CRM or marketing products, then this notion of static list being a collection of people that meet a certain criteria that you've decided, and then you can analyze those the people in that list.
Yeah, and you can export them as well?
Yes, you can. So you can export them to CSV, Excel, XML even. And what you choose to export, we give you basically the data file. But one of the great things that is used for that is that if you build a list of a certain size, a decent size list that contains people who could be your audience, you can export that and import that as a Twitter audience in Twitter ads. Now that's great because although Twitter ads is really sophisticated and you can set, keywords and, people who follow these type of accounts and so on. If you want to build a specific audience, currently you probably have to take that from a CRM, which you've built over time, or maybe an e-marketing list that you've built over a period of time. With Thryyve, you can do those searches, find people who meet the specific criteria that you're looking for, and add them to your list, and then export that list and put it into the ad manager. What we're hoping to do going forward is find a way to actually make that transition quite seamless, so that actually the process of finding your people, then exporting them and importing them into, say, an ad manager would be really quite slick.
Right. Now you said that the list is static, but it can be used as a tool to drive messaging, can't it?
Yes, for sure. So again, this comes down to engagement. But if you were to maybe want to send out a message to all of the people in your list, there's a couple of ways to do that. So you could, as it currently stands, obviously just send out a tweet as part of your normal timeline. Now, that's great, except for the fact that a tweet has a very short time span in terms of when people will see it, unless you mention somebody, in which case it will go in their notifications. Using Thryyve, we've developed a tool that allows you to create the message once and deliver individual messages to those people in your list. So let's say, for example, you've got a list of people who have said that they really love Blab, or perhaps that they maybe that are your followers. Then by doing that, then you can create a message to all of those. Maybe it's a direct message giving them advance notice of a sale or a promotion, or even giving them a coupon code or something like that. You can send that to them, and Thryyve will deliver those individually rather than just creating one single message on a timeline. Okay.
Now, I noticed that you can actually also send it when people are online. How does that work?
Sorry, Stephen. So one of the things that we also do is we make an assessment. When someone's added to a list, that gives a trigger to Thryyve to say, go and do some analysis on that person, that social contact. Thryyve will go and look at each individual's Twitter output, so publicly facing output, and try and determine things like how old they might be, what gender they might be, whether they're on any of the networks that we find, so you can build a bigger picture of them as an individual, which is great for marketing. But it also looks at when do they most engage on, say, Twitter. And we will produce a bubble chart to show you when they post tweets within the last 30 days, because it's important that that's relevant and information. But we will then identify the time when they are active on Twitter in the last 30 days. And then if you want to deliver a message to them as an individual, one of the options in Thryyve is to say, well, send it to them when they are most active. And let's say you've got a list of 30 people and you're sending 30 direct messages to each of those on an individual basis. You would be sending a personalized DM to that contact at the time when they're most likely to see it and most likely to engage. And our research from the users that we've got to date and the feedback that we've had tells us that actually the response rate to that engagement is much higher when you're engaging with people when they're most active.
Indeed. Right, I've got now an admission. I am besides being on Blab, I'm on Empire.cred. On Empire.cred, we run what are called missions, where people will take a look at a tweet and they'll retweet it for you. So typically, I run a mission to my Blab, which is a tweet, and people retweet it. Now, one of the problems is actually keeping contact with those people. And I was surprised to find that when I did the first option, which is the search on Thryyve, it came back with a list of 125 people who'd actually helped me in the last couple of months. So I thought, right, what's my next step? My next step was to build a big list. And so I put all the people on a Thryyve list, 125 people. And my next step was, I want to say thank you to these people. So I took the 125 and I'm now creating 10 sublists. And those 10 sublists, I can then send out a personalized, semi-personalized tweet, naming them in the tweet, together with a link or a photo and a big thank you. And I did that yesterday using Thryyve. So search, find the people, put on a list, break down the list, schedule the message to go out to the people on the list. And they all got a message which, to all intents and purposes, because Thryyve is new to the market, the way you do it is unique, looked like a personal message from me. and the reaction was that they said thank you for the thank you. So there was an interaction was started simply by using the mechanics of Thryyve, and it's the power of that you know, if we think Barb's here with us now, and one of the problems that most of us have with Blab is actually attracting an audience. Yeah. So using that list, break down the list, send out a tweet, we could actually target people and remind them that our show is on at a certain time. And then we could send that out, because you've got the time facility, an hour before. So I'm in love with it, I've got to say.
Fantastic. That's a great use case, Stephen. Yeah, we've designed this to try and increase the engagement levels that people have on social media. And look, there's a lot of automation that exists on Twitter in particular around, you know, so you follow somebody and there's an automated DM that comes back to you. And typically those DMs just say, hey, you know, thanks for following. You know, please take this call to action. So please look at my website, or please buy this, or please download this ebook. And what we found was that, you know, people then try and engage back and then don't get anything. So actually it does more harm than good. And what we wanted to do with Thryyve was create something that really actually helped people, and find and is used in a way that allows people to create that personalized message, saves people time, because social media can be time consuming, saves people time, but actually keeps it personal, because that's what social media is about.
Indeed. Right, we've got a question from Barb, which I'll bring across onto the screen, and I'll read it to you. And Barb asked the question, could you send to a Twitter list, or do you need to create a list in another app? Can you just explain the mechanics again, from search going through?
Sure, that's a great question, Bob. So in terms of the list, so you search using Thryyve's discovery tool, which is called search, and you search for people who you are looking to engage with, people who maybe closely match the keywords that you're looking for. Maybe that's your brand name, maybe that's the things that you talk about, maybe it's words that the audience would talk about, even a TV show or something like that. But once you've got the results, you can choose whether to put all of those in a Thryyve list, or pick individuals and send them to a Thryyve list. Now, that list doesn't yet synchronize with a Twitter list, but actually one of the things that we have on our roadmap is to try and do that, so that you can take your list in Twitter and bring it into Thryyve, and then use the advanced Thryyve messaging features, so that you've got the best of both worlds. And also to take the people that you found in Thryyve and put them in the list, and then synchronize that over to Twitter, so that you can see the timeline and so on. So that specific functionality isn't available yet, but it's definitely something that we'd like to do.
Good. Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of it is that once you've got the list, whilst it's static in the sense that it doesn't actually change, you can use it for the messaging. And you said earlier, you can combine lists, so you can do several searches, create lists for each of them, and then take people from each list, so mix and match. So, for example, you can also add people manually, can't you? You can create a list from Twitter accounts outside the search engine. So you could create a family list, or
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so one of the lists that I have are other team members in Thryyve. Now, I use that, you know, for testing, if nothing else. So I can send a message to all of the guys at Thryyve to say, you know, to test a piece of functionality or something like that. And I've done that by manually adding them in. Just as you say, friends and family, if there's something that you want to send to them, then yes, you can create a list in that way. But you're absolutely right. You can mix and match. The choice is yours. If you find people that might belong to two lists, then you can simply add them to two lists. And from a list, you can add people to another list. From some of the results that might come in from surveys or messages, then yes, again, you can add them to a list. So we're always looking to find ways in which you can add people to lists, because lists are your groupings of people that you can then send that VIP messaging to.
Right. Staying with this, we have a question from Steve, which I bring across, and again I'll read. Can you upload to listing Thryyve via a text file?
So you can, if you save that as a CSV, we can import people into lists through CSV, an Excel worksheet, or XML. So as long as you can get it into one of those formats, then you can get those in and you can start messaging them straight away. Brilliant.
Okay, I think it's about time. I do apologise for this. We've been talking away, and I'm just going to write for a moment. I'm going to post your link because we're talking about Thryyve, and that's the site. And I'm sure Paul would be chuffed, as we'd say up north. It'd be chuffed if you joined Thryyve and gave it a go. It is free to join and free to look around, and it is I've got to say this, I've got to be honest, the interface is beautiful. It is graphically beautiful and easy to use, and I'm really enjoying using it. Right, so yes, you can upload lists. The other thing, what Bob's with us, because Bob and I are heavily involved in running Blabs, is that we could use it to build a list of people within our Facebook groups, because we can't export the member list, but we can build it by hand. And then we could send a message out sort of 20 minutes before a show. Yeah, that's another use case.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay.
There's going to be lots of use cases that we haven't found yet. I mean, because we've been working hard on the product and trying to get it out there. And thank you for posting the link, because yes, we absolutely want as many people as possible to sign in. The sign-up process is straightforward, hopefully, and if it's not, I want to know. But we'd love feedback on whether it's the user interface, the search capabilities, what is missing. If people are looking for something that they can't find, please tell us. We'd love to hear that feedback.
Right. Okay. Now we have a technical question again from Steve, and if we answer the question, I'll read it to you. When applying changes, does your product manage the API limits? No, Twitter's got an API. The API has got limits. How is that handled in terms of the restrictions put on people?
Well, at this stage, we are limited by some of those limits. That's absolutely fair to ask that question, Steve. The way that we've written the application, it's on an individual basis. So if you reach your limit, then you would reach your limit, but another user won't be anywhere near their limit. So it would depend how often you search and what the thing is that you're searching for. We found in our testing it's quite hard to reach those limits because of the way that we've written it. We've tried to make it smart. One of the things that we haven't mentioned actually is things like scheduled searches. So if you want to refresh that list on a regular basis, whether it's hourly, daily, or weekly, say, then you can set a schedule on that means that you can come back next time and have a refresh list. Now, that's great if you've got a particular set of people that you're constantly looking for. If you do a really complicated search with lots of calls on the data and set that to hourly, then there is a possibility that you might hit that limit. But that's as it stands currently. We're actually now talking to Twitter themselves in the States about what we're doing and ways in which that we can make sure that the user experience is great and the results are as good as they can be in that sense.
Right, okay. Just another observation from Steve, and he just wants to rephrase it. What I mean is, will it just apply changes as soon as possible, or will it spread them out? A rival product busts my Twitter. Steve, if you want to come on air in a few moments, and you can have a discussion about that, because obviously the rate limits are key. Right, now we come on to the next function, and the next function is one that I'm dying to use because you put it in there because you believe that people should reach out to customers, and that's your polling function, the ability to create a poll. Can you explain more about that?
Well, So polls have sort of come and gone in various guises on different networks. Facebook had the ability for a while and then removed it. And of course, we've got Twitter polls as being quite recent. Now you've also got tools like SurveyMonkey and Typeform, which are quite ingrained in the marketplace. What we wanted to try and do with the mechanism in Thryyve is to find another way in which you might engage with your fans, your customers, followers, whatever.
Okay.
And yes, you can reach out to them by sending them a message. You can like them, you can follow them. But with using one of our surveys, you can create a very short survey that you send out and invite people to with the aim of perhaps gaining some insight into that particular market or that particular cohort of people. We've kept it very limited because we don't want to try and recreate something like SurveyMonkey. So if you want, questions that chain from one another, then this isn't, something that we want to do in Thryyve.
Right.
So we've kept some limits here. So we've limited it to, you can ask 5 questions. Mm-hmm. And the questions are quite short. And the reasoning behind that is that person is going to receive an invitation from you via Twitter, and they're probably going to pick that up on their phone. So if they click on the link to participate, they're going to see it on a mobile device that has, a limited amount of real estate. So you don't want to be answering a question next, answering next. Yeah. Instead, you just want one page, bish, bash, bosh, here are the answers, submit. And what we found is that actually, if you keep it nice and short, then people will be willing to respond to that and give you the results that you're looking for. And then, of course, what you get is some data, some information that you didn't have before. Maybe you're asking, we're thinking about creating a blue product instead of a green product. What do you think? Or, did you see the latest Blabbing for Britain? What did you think about it? Excellent, very excellent, the best thing ever. Okay. You can limit the questions. But you send that out. You find your people in Thryyve Search.
Yeah.
You add them to a list, and then you send the survey to that list, and then you've got the results.
Brilliant. So step 1, search, find the people, put them on a list, and then put together the poll, and you can send it out to them. And again, you can send it out when they're online or when they're most likely to be online. Because now,
absolutely.
Sorry, just to go back to the search for a moment, you're actually for each person who matches the search criteria, there is a profile record, isn't there, built within the system? Can you tell us a bit more about the profiling side of things?
Yeah, that's right. So every time somebody is added to a list, or if you use the manual search to find somebody, then you can look for some more information about that person by clicking on their username. And that will open up a Thryyve profile page rather than, say, Twitter or Facebook. Within that profile page, we display a few characteristics about them that our intelligent engine has found out based on their output on social media. So the first thing it will do is identify any networks that we think that we found them on. It might be that we found them on Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and whatever. So we would display that, and if we know that they definitely are the person, it will say yes, this is their profile on the other network. If we are not sure, then it will give a percentage probability that it's that person. We'll also display numbers of followers on Twitter. We'll also display things like how old we think they are, whether they're male or female. If we can't do that analysis, we won't try and guess. It will just be blank. Yeah. And then we've got some options for you to add a quick note. So if you want to put in a little tag about any interaction that you've had with them, and also we've got any interactions that you've had within Thryyve. Maybe you sent them a survey and what they said, whether they've been added to any lists, whether they were found on any surveys. And then we've got that bubble chart, which I mentioned earlier, about when they're most active on social media. So people are using this to really drill down into their audience, find out a bit more about who their audience is. And then that allows them to tweak their marketing message or some of the content that they put out on social media to more adequately reflect who it is that they're speaking to.
Brilliant, brilliant. So we're building up a CRM system without knowing it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my background actually before we started Thryyve was in the CRM space. So I worked with lots of different CRM systems for about 10 years. And CRM is now very, very oriented towards social media and social media marketing. So, hopefully we're at the cutting edge of that.
Brilliant. Right, just for people who've come on most recently, I'm going to explain again how we met, because it's Jon. I met Paul on Blabbing for Britain. I know he didn't appear on camera, but he was in the audience. And after seeing him in the audience, I tracked down the Thryyve site and was impressed. And that's how we came to be here today. And I think that the Thryyve system, whilst it's got uses in marketing our own businesses, is also of great potential use on Blab. For marketing out to audiences, reminding people that the show's on. I mean, the use cases that we've talked about, there are so many different uses for this system. It's incredible. And I do suggest that everyone press the link I just posted and at least give it a look, because as you can see today, we can actually talk live with the people behind the system, just like we can with Blab. So that's wonderful. Now, we've been going. Amazing, we've been going half an hour. If anybody wants to come on camera, Steve, if you want to come on camera, just press call in and you can come and ask your API question. Okay, right, so I've opened up the seat and Steve is joining us. And good afternoon, sir.
Hello there, nice to meet you both again.
Hi, Steve.
First time. Yeah, wow, man, that's a fantastic product you got going there. Congratulations.
Thank you, that's very kind.
Yeah, well, honestly, because I've been searching for quite a few of the things you've been mentioning there. And so now I'm just going to present to you a problem. I won't mention the rival that's let me down, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to type it in on the sidebar because I know it's being recorded. Okay. So they're guilty as far as I'm concerned, and they didn't get back to me. So the problem that I was having is, and I'm wondering if your system can help me with this, is if, for example, you, by mistake in my case, wanted to apply quite a few changes. In this case, I wanted to add quite a few people to a list. And I'm not totally up on the API limits, but I think it's around about 180 updates per 15 minutes. Yeah?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Would it be possible for, if it recognized it was a bulk thing, to kind of space that out so I don't hit those limits? Is any of that protection in place, or could you do that?
So if you did hit a limit, then from what we can tell, there's no consequence using our system. So I mean, things like adding people to lists, there's no call to the API for that. The call to the API is actually to get those people from the search in the first place. Okay. So we've not found too many problems with reaching limits. We do say to people quite openly that when you do a search, depending on the level of complexity of the search, that will determine how long a search takes to run, because remember, we're not actually just pulling all the data and giving you all of the data. We're taking the data, we're applying our algorithms to it to produce smart results. And that adds a little bit of time to it. But, I wouldn't say it's impossible to hit an API limit because it exists, right? So, it's quite possible that you could. It depends on the level of the complex search. But definitely we've written it in a way that will minimize the risk of that happening.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And may I just ask Stephen a follow-up question on the way it goes and what it does to find people outside of Twitter? You said it pulls in data. Is that all right to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Paul, I mean, Twitter and Facebook, yes?
Yes, Twitter and Facebook. We hope to do more. We're in negotiations with other social networks, and there are very interesting relationships in terms of social networks and their development communities. We'll leave that there. But yes, so at the moment it's Twitter and Facebook, and we'll pull in information that is publicly available. One of the things that we have made a big deal about is observing privacy. So if someone has a protected Twitter account, then we can't get that information. And it's right that we don't get that information because someone's chosen to keep that information private. Similarly with Facebook, if someone locks down their Facebook account, then we can't get that data. Where some of the data from Facebook comes into its own really is around pages, fan pages, and comments left on fan pages. So one of the use cases from one of our beta clients, who's quite a big company, was actually pulling in people commenting on a competitor's Facebook page.
Wow.
And using that information to start engaging with them. So
cool. So I mean, the majority of people are not protected. So presumably, in the majority of cases, you can get some kind of cross-reference data.
Yes, we can, like I said, find people on different networks. We're using some technology to try and analyze whether, for example, the profile pictures are the same. Okay. Because often people use the same profile pictures on different networks. We're, like I said, we're based at Loughborough University, so we're working quite closely with the computer science department, who are quite big into things like AI and so on. And we're trying to find ways in which we can use some advanced techniques to make sense of some of that, to try and say, okay, well, this person is quite likely to be this person over here. Therefore, let's suggest that they are. What we do allow you to do is we allow you the opportunity to confirm that. So we will present possible matches, and you as the user can say, yes, it's that one. And actually that will then contribute to the other Thryyve users, so that people will be able to, they'll get more intelligence based on your input, if you like.
Well, I'm genuinely excited for you and for me using your system. It sounds brilliant.
Can't wait for you to use it. Can't wait.
Later this afternoon, for sure. Thank you so much.
Please do.
Nice to meet you both.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, catch you later. Okay, right, John, would you like to hop on and ask your question, please? Because I think it's of great interest, because we've got a situation where we're exploring uses for Thryyve. John, you might recognise from Blabbing for Britain.
I do. Hi, John.
With no sound. There's no sound. It's going to come back. Right, that's technical. I was going to try again. And okay.
Can you hear me this time?
We can hear you this time. Good afternoon, John.
Hiya. Every time I've come into a blab for 10 days now, I've had to come out and go back in because there's no sound.
Right. Okay. Well, you loud and clear, and Paul is waiting your question.
Paul, can I use it for managing client accounts?
Absolutely, yes. If do you mean sort of different client accounts that have different social network accounts?
Customers that I do their social media for. They're great at making catering equipment, stamping out stainless steel sinks, but they haven't got a clue what social media is.
Okay.
People that social, but they don't know about social media. So I run accounts for them. Can I do that with your product?
Yes, definitely. So we link the Twitter account to Thryyve. So you would, as it stands at the moment, you would have to create effectively an account for each of your clients, but that's fine. You control the Twitter account or have access to the Twitter account. We use the authentication of Twitter and Facebook in order to be able to do that. Now, you have to link a Twitter account and a Facebook account in order to be able to search that network. That's a condition of the various APIs. And also by doing that, we can then go and get information about the account's followers and produce some analysis on the number of followers, whether that's growing, a metric which we call net gain, which is you know, how big is the hole in the bucket? How many new followers do you get as opposed to any unfollowers? And how is that therefore growing? But yes, absolutely, you can use it for your clients because, as you say, they might be the expert in making that particular piece of equipment, but you're the expert in social. So you use your skills to use Thryyve, find the people who perhaps should be the audience and are not yet following that account, engage with them and get them to follow. You know, I mean, you can go down the follow back route. That's absolutely fine because we give people the option to quickly follow people that are produced in the search results. So that's great. That's sort of a standard process, I guess, these days. But yeah, absolutely, you can do it for your clients. One of the people that we had on our beta group was a big marketing agency. And we actually, when we created the product, we spoke to a number of marketing agencies to understand a bit more about, you know, whether this was something that they would use. So it's absolutely got a use case for people managing their clients. And it would be great if you could do that.
Super. And this is a Midlands or East Midlands based product?
It's, well, I'll say global, shall I, and be ambitious.
No, you're in Loughborough, aren't you? Is what I'm really asking.
Yes. We're on the Loughborough University campus. We're on there. We're in their it's called the Advanced Technology Innovation Centre. So it's a building that's subsidised for tech companies and startups in their early infancy, looking to create innovation and to try and get the message out there.
Brilliant. And of course, you're top of the Premiership at the moment, aren't you? Leicester.
Yes. Well, it's not something that I particularly follow, but as you can imagine, the intense excitement that's building around these parts is absolutely incredible. And I'd say, you know, whereas my Facebook feed last year would be full of morose, depression. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I have the opposite experience because my team couldn't be further adrift if they tried. I think turning up was the only way they could do this.
In an amazing coincidence, my team are top of the Championship. So there you are, Burnley and Leicester, top of the Premiership and the Championship, and we're hoping to help push Thryyve to the top of the Software Premiership. Right,
I'd love to say thanks. I'm going to have a play with it, and if you come and see us on Blabbing for Britain, I'm sure we're going to give you some feedback.
Indeed.
I'll see you on Thursday.
Great, look forward to it.
Okay. See you, John. Take care.
Thanks, John.
Right. If anybody else wants to come on there, more than welcome to. Barb, if you want to pop in, or CJ, welcome to do so. But I think now at the stage we're coming up to sort of the 40-45 minutes stage. CJ's looking forward to giving a test drive. If you want to just give a recap on what Thryyve is and where you're going, and then I've got one question, then we'll switch off the recording.
Lovely. Okay. So Thryyve is a social media tool that allows you to discover people that you perhaps have never heard of, but who are closely aligned to the products and services that you market. So maybe it's you're looking for people who can donate to your charity. Maybe it's people who can watch your blab. Maybe it's people who are talking about the latest ejectee from the Great British Bake Off. Whatever it is, people are having a conversation about it on social media, and Thryyve allows you to find those people. And when you found them, well, you've got to engage with them. So whether you reply, whether you like them, or whether you collect them together in a list and send them out some intelligent VIP messaging, the choice is absolutely yours. It's flexible enough to meet your strategy. But what it does is it saves you time. It saves you a lot of effort, and it applies some intelligence to that search, which can get really far too big if you don't do that. And it's free.
It's free.
Important stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'll just reiterate the use case that I gave is that people have helped me on Empire Cred. I've created a list of them, and I am now sending out thank you messages to each of them. at the rate of 10 a day using Thryyve, and everybody gets a message and a big thank you. And I'm also looking forward to using it for encouraging people to join us on Blab. Paul, it's been a pleasure to chat this afternoon about Thryyve. We've all learned a lot. We're all looking forward to either using it for the first time or making more use of it. We're delighted that it's free. You mentioned a moment that you're actually involved in corporates. I do believe you've rolled out, done a rollout across Europe. Is that correct?
Well, what we've done is we've actually made the product available to everybody across the world. We started off with a small group of people in the UK so that we could manage that and work out what we needed to do. But absolutely, we've opened that up. Anyone from across the globe can go onto Thryyve.com and sign up for an account. And we're available pretty much 24/7. So if you've got any kind of issue or feedback, you can send me a message through the in-app chat, and come night or day, I will try and answer you, or one of my team will try and do that.
Brilliant. 24/7 support, just like Blab, only this time it's coming from Leicestershire in England. It's been a pleasure, Paul. Don't move. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's been watching us. And you can catch, if you missed the beginning, you can catch the recording. You've got an open invitation to go along to the Thryyve website and try out the system. Paul, thank you. If you'd just like to thank everybody, I'll switch off the recording.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It's been a great pleasure to speak to you and to have that opportunity. I look forward to you trying it out. And as I said earlier, I'm really looking for some feedback. So whatever it is you think is great or not so great, I definitely want to hear. So thank you. Thanks, Dean, for having me on the show.
You're more than welcome. It's been a pleasure. And we look forward to seeing everybody on Blab sometime in the future.